Hello, I'm Ryan Raffles. My God, where have I been? Where have I not been? Life's been insane, but I've been wanting to make a video for a long time about my radio stuff. For a long time, I've kind of had radio as a bit of a hobby. I've been interested in it at least, and I've picked it up and put it down over the years. It started way back in, gosh, I don't know, middle school, early high school. No, it must have been early high school. Sorry. Had some friends that were getting into CB, and I thought it was really cool. I'm really into stuff like that. So sorry about the glare in my glasses. There's nothing I can do about that. So I went on to the eBays and I got me a nice base station, which I'll have to do a separate video, or maybe I'll just do it when I get home. Well, I am home. When I get back home, I'm about to go out. Anyway, let me show you first the setup that I've got in my car here. So I'm into CB, and then in addition to CB, I also got into GMRS, which a little less known if you're not in the radio community. GMRS shares frequencies with FRS, which is basically like your walkie-talkies like you buy at Walmart. So it uses the same frequencies but more powerful radios, and you get access to repeaters as well. And that does require a license. It's something like $30 now for 10 years. So I got my license, no tests, no nothing like ham. Just basically have to pay if you can manage to get through the FCC website. Let me flip you around and look at my stuff here. So what I've got right now is just a little Midland 40 channel CB radio. I do have, in addition, I can show you later, a CB that actually belonged to my great-grandfather, but it was more limited on channels, and it needed some work. I got it worked on, and the guy that worked on it threw this one in for me for really cheap. It's more channels, digital, and I don't care as much about leaving it in the car all the time, even though that's not a great practice anyway, but... So yeah, that's the Midland CB. And then I've got this TID radio handheld here for the GMRS. This mount, just a cup holder mount with holders for a handheld and for a mic. And I found it off somebody on YouTube. I don't remember who. I watch a lot of Not a Rubicon. Really good for GMRS stuff, but that's not where I saw it. I saw it from someone else. But you can get one of these off of Amazon, and it's nice, very handy. So yeah, that's my setup for these. And let me show you my antennas as well. So for antennas, I spent a lot of time thinking about how I wanted to get an antenna in my vehicle, and I now have 2 antennas in my vehicle. And there's a lot of, you know, you can get really involved with it. You can start like drilling holes and shit like that, you know, running cable. Well, you have to run cable regardless, but I wasn't trying to do all of that, especially for my very first setup. And, you know, I know somewhere down the line I'm going to end up with another car, you know, so I'm figuring, for my very first setup here, I'm just going to try and do, you know, the simplest that I can where it still functions okay. So I got 2 window mounted antennas, which they're not like the greatest thing you can have. Okay. And then those of you who know about tuning antennas and, you know, your SWR reading and everything, they're not like the best thing on the market, but I was able to get an SWR in the 1 to 2 range with it, which is fine. I know there's some SWR purists out there that are going to be like, oh, you can't have anything like above 1. It's like, it's fine. For my purposes, like, it's fine. I'm not doing anything crazy, and it's not high enough that it's going to damage the radio, anything like that. So let's go take a look at these window mounts. So over here on the driver's side of my car, I've got the CB radio, and as you can see, it attaches with adhesive on either side, and on the inside of the vehicle It's got just a little box where it goes through the glass, and then the wires running down up to my front seat. And yeah, the installation, easy. These things are durable. People, I saw, I think in the Amazon reviews, someone suggested, and I would suggest as well, letting it sit overnight. So I'm always driving everywhere all the time. So just when I got home one evening, first thing I did was put it on so I could let it just sit for the rest of the evening, sit overnight. And I've had no problems with that. And then walking over to the passenger side, this is where I have my GMRS antenna. It's pretty much identical. The frequency ranges, you know, obviously are going to differ a bit, but, you know, on the physical appearance wise, it looks exactly the same. And then this one actually came with a little metal, well, it's like light metal piece that sticks out around the connector, and that is to help with the ground plane, which for you non-nerds, it just goes back to the SWR reading. That stands for standing wave ratio, by the way, SWR. Shout out to my new song, East Bay Truck Stop, talks about radios. Anyway, moving on. So I don't know how much we'll really be able to hear sitting here in my driveway. Usually you can hear, there's channel 6, which is the Super Bowl channel, they call it, which is just people with allegedly overpowered radios. And actually there's a guy I watched called Fred in the Shed, shout out to him, CB guy over in the UK, who has picked up channel 6 from the US all the way over in the UK across the pond there. So that's kind of what we're dealing with there. And then there's also channel 9, which used to be, and I think is still supposed to be, reserved for emergencies. It used to be monitored by law enforcement and everything. And a lot of Hispanic people in surrounding countries do the same thing that people here do on channel 6, but they do it on channel 9, and you can usually pick them up as well. And then for the GMRS, there's a couple stores like in my immediate area. I'll just, you know, scan frequencies sometimes that I pick up on, so I might be able to hear some of them. I'm just going to turn them on for just a quick second here and see if we hear anything interesting. So here's the CB here. And you can kind of hear someone talking some nonsense on 9 there. That's what I was talking about. See if we can hear anything on 6. Oh, they're on 8. Okay, so he's saying he's saying audio, which is interesting that he wouldn't just be saying it in Spanish, but audio. You hear a lot of guys here locally saying that when they're trying to test their radios or whatever. So that's pretty interesting. It doesn't really sound like there's anything happening on 6 here at the moment. Channel 19 as well is the one that's common for truckers, stereotypically. But in a couple of the towns north of me here, you hear people just locally, a lot of local people with base stations talking on 19. So I don't know if we'll be able to hear that from here or not. It doesn't really sound like there's anything happening there at the moment. I got a little blip of something. Anyway, there is a squelch setting here, which that just cuts out the background noise, which you can adjust. And the only reason I don't leave that on all the time, because I know that audio is annoying as hell. But it cuts out like frequencies that it doesn't consider strong enough, like ones only lighten up 1 or 2, which is bizarre because when I have the squelch all the way off, I can hear those transmissions like super clearly, but the squelch just like that. The squelch just won't let it through for whatever reason. But it doesn't sound like there's much happening on there right at the moment. So my GMRS radio here has a nice nifty scanning feature.
Welcome.
And it even talks to you. So let's just see if I pick up anything real quick. It likes to scan going from higher channels to lower channels for some reason. That drives me crazy for no reason other than OCD. It's not in the right order. I don't know, something else I have undiagnosed. Whatever. So usually channel 1, it's still scanning, the screen shuts off every so often, but it's got these cool lights. Channel 1 is the one that I hear one of the
That
local...
would be wonderful.
Yep, right there. One of the local stores. I haven't figured out yet exactly which one it is. Obviously, I'm not going to dox it on here, even if I knew, but there's 2 stores like across the street from me in either direction that I feel it could potentially be. I just haven't figured out exactly which one it is yet. So yeah, that's my mobile radio setup here in my car, and I'm running out for just a moment, and then when I get home, I'm gonna show you my base station. So my desk is an absolute wreck at the moment, I'm sorry, but here's this realistic Radio Shack brand, I believe, base station that I bought on eBay way back in the day. And I went over, it was just the base it came with. So I went over to the Radio Shack because we still had one of those in my town at the time. Yeah, Radio Shack brand. And was trying to explain to them best I could what I needed. You know, I was a young kid. Clearly they were not super enthralled with helping me. Maybe that's why they went out of business. Because they ended up setting me up with a mag mount antenna. So a mag mount, hold on, I can't see you. Mag mount is going to be better for a vehicle because it's got a magnetic base and it onto the top of your car, and the magnetic part acts as your ground plane. So that doesn't work for a base station application when you have it in a home, unless you're adaptable, like I am. Shout out again to Fred in the Shed for pointing out this idea that I would not have known if it were not for him. Back in the day, apparently, when you were, everyone was on the CB, you were desperate to get on the air, people would take their mag mount antennas and they would put it on, he calls it a biscuit tin. We know it more here over in the States as a sewing kit. One of those cookie tins, the metal ones that your grandma uses as a sewing kit. So if you take one of those, you stick your mag mount antenna on top of it, and then you put the biscuit tin on top of layers of foil that acts as your ground plane. And I tried it, and it worked so good. I had a perfect SWR reading, better than the one in my car. I was blown away. Could not imagine that was possible. So I still don't get great, signal out here, and normally I would not do this as it's not like an ideal setup, but I'm renting a house currently. So permanent solutions aren't super feasible because I can't go like drilling through walls and stuff like that, obviously. So let me go ahead and show you what I did. So this is the hallway right outside where my desk is here. My desk is right there on the other side of that wall. And I have a wire running out and going up into the loft space up here. It's basically a very, very large unfinished attic up there. And it's a pain in the ass to get up there, but I love you, so I'm taking you up there. Come on. So basically, coming out the back of the radio, I just have an extension cable, and that goes to this thin little guy right here, which is actually purpose-made to fit in door jams, window jams, stuff like that. Which when I discovered that, I was ecstatic because I wanted to run an antenna up here, but I just didn't know how to do it. So flat cable adapter made specifically for that, perfect. And then that runs over to the antenna on the biscuit tin on these sheets of foil. And there it is, just the mag mount on the tin. And I didn't even have to do any adjusting to the antenna or anything. I literally plugged it in, ran the cable down, put the meter on it, perfect reading. Insane. So, you know, again, let me flip around. Again, you know, I hope to do something much better than this, and not I hope, I will be doing something much better than this in the future. But for now, this is where I'm at. This is what I've got. This is what I can work with. So that's what I did. You know, you got to do what you got to do sometimes. Yeah, so that's my radio stuff currently. I'm sure, you know, in the future, I'm going to keep working at it. I'm going to get better radios, better equipment, and eventually I will get that ham license. I'm just trying to take my time with it, start with the basic stuff, get familiar with it, you know, make sure I know the ropes as I keep going. Yeah, gosh, hopefully I see you again sooner. I've got some stuff I've been working on, and I'm finally getting to a point where I'm, you know, starting to get it out there. So, I'm trying. What can I say? I'm trying so hard. Oh my God. All right. Enough about me. See you later. Peace. Love you. Bye. Yeah, no idea what's going on there. And yeah, this is the one here that was my great-grandfather's. Still got his, I'm sure his old address and stuff, you know, doesn't really matter, but regardless, you know, he used to have a license to talk on a CB, so he's got his card and everything still in here, along with his call sign, because he used to have a call sign as well. So really cool stuff. And yeah, this radio from the early 70s, I believe, and it still works. Still works. The only thing, I had to buy a new mic, and then the guy that fixed it up a little bit for me just had to, you know, rewire it to work with this radio, but works like a champ. Incredible. Beautiful.